The most shocking news recently. The FBI has officially released the 11-hour-long video of criminal Jeffrey Epstein after 6 years of hiding it. This should be the final evidence to solve the mystery of Jeffrey Epstein's death after 2 decades. But instead of solving the problem, the video left a strange gap of 2 minutes and 53 seconds, the most sensitive moment of the night Epstein died. In the 11-hour-long edited video released by the FBI, what really happened? Let's uncover that shocking secret right now. Jeffrey Epstein's final CCTV, the fateful hours in prison. After years of controversy and doubt, on May 21, 2025, the U.S. Department of Justice officially released more than 11 hours of surveillance video extracted from the CCTV system inside the Metropolitan Correctional Center (MCC) in New York, where Jeffrey Epstein was detained and found dead on the morning of August 10, 2019. This is the first time the U.S. government has released full continuous surveillance footage from the 9th floor, where Epstein's cell was located. The video covers the entire crucial time frame from 8:00 p.m. on August 9th to 6:33 a.m. on August 10th. One of the most notable scenes came at 7:49 p.m. on August 9th. The camera captured Epstein, his head shaved, wearing an orange prison jumpsuit, handcuffed. He was escorted by a guard through the common area to his cell. The two moved down the stairs on the left side of the screen, turned right, and disappeared from view as they headed toward his cell. According to a statement from the Justice Department, although the camera did not directly record Epstein's cell door, it recorded the entire entrance area, so anyone approaching or leaving would be detected. During the entire night, other than the guard who appeared around 10:39 p.m. and returned 2 minutes later at 10:41, no one else was recorded entering or leaving Epstein's holding area. This is believed to be the last encounter before Epstein was found dead the following morning. At around 6:30 a.m. on August 10th, the camera captured images of guards starting to bring breakfast to the detention area. At 6:33 a.m., another group of guards was seen moving toward Epstein's cell, likely shortly after he was found in a threatening position in his cell. The cell door was not shown on camera, but the area in front of the door was under constant surveillance. A forensic report later concluded that Epstein died by hanging a suicide in a single cell on the 9th floor of the Metropolitan Correctional Center (MCC) prison in New York, with signs on his body consistent with this theory. But what the video doesn't show is shocking. When the FBI released nearly 11 hours of CCTV footage of Jeffrey Epstein's final hours in the Metropolitan Jail, they called it raw, unedited footage. But Wired tech reporters checked the metadata, the hidden data inside the video file, and to their surprise, they discovered something no one expected: the video had been cut off by nearly 3 minutes. Epstein prison video missing. Nearly 3 minutes. Technical glitch or suspicious gap. Specifically, one of the 2 original files was recorded as 4 hours 19 minutes 16 seconds long, but Wired's technology reporters discovered it was only 4 hours 16 minutes 23 seconds long. Total 2 minutes 53 seconds disappeared without a trace. This period began at 11:58 p.m., which coincided with the time the prison's surveillance camera system resets every night. However, according to a technician who worked on the system, the reset only caused a maximum loss of 1 minute of data, which cannot explain the nearly 3 minutes of disappearance. The unedited video claim was quickly refuted by what was hidden deep in the metadata. The internal data of the video file also shows that the footage is not directly from the camera system, but has been post-processed using Adobe Premiere Pro software, a specialized tool for film editing. The MJ Cole 1 account saved the file at least 4 times in just 23 minutes on May 23, 2025, right around the time of the video's press conference. Additionally, the aspect ratios in the video are inconsistent, further strengthening the possibility that the footage was edited or spliced from 2 different sources. If a lawyer brought this video to me and asked, "Is it admissible as evidence?" I would say no. Go back to the original DVR and don't edit it at all, said Hani Farid, a leading expert in digital forensics at UC Berkeley, who has advised the government in complex criminal cases. The video that the FBI hoped would end the controversy has instead become the catalyst for a new round of questions. What happened in those nearly 3 minutes of missing footage? Was the camera simply reset, or was something intentionally cut out? Less than 48 hours after Jeffrey Epstein's death, serious flaws in his supervision and detention were exposed by the media and independent experts, raising the big question: did he actually commit suicide, Or was he assisted? Unusual details fuel public outrage over Jeffrey Epstein's death. A billionaire who was once a central link in a global crime network died in prison, right before his trial, in the world's highest security federal prison. And it all, coincidentally. According to a report from the Daily Beast, and confirmed by multiple other news outlets, 2 guards who were in charge of Epstein's cell on the night of August 9, 2019, admitted to falling asleep during their 8-hour shift. Worse, they also falsified logbooks and filled out forms by hand to prove that they had checked in every 30 minutes as required by prison policy. This was a serious breach of security protocol, especially for a high-risk inmate who had been placed on suicide watch. Although both were later charged with federal crimes, they were not held in custody and received light sentences after their plea deals. Notably, the surveillance system in Epstein's cell was designed to record 24/7. However, according to the official report, the 2 cameras facing Epstein's cell both suffered a technical failure on the night of August 9th. One camera was broken, and the other could not store data, although there was no power outage or system failure that night. The fact that both cameras went down at the same time during a crucial time frame has been described by many experts as nearly zero probability if it were just a coincidence. It was a rare and unbelievable sequence of events, especially when applied to a prisoner of international significance who could provide shocking testimony to a host of powerful figures. Another key point of contention is the autopsy results. The official report of the New York City Medical Examiner concluded that Jeffrey Epstein died of self-hanging, but an independent autopsy commissioned by the Epstein family said otherwise. Renowned forensic pathologist Michael Baden, who investigated high-profile cases such as JFK and O.J. Simpson, stated Epstein had a fractured hyoid bone, a finding that is common in manual strangulation but rare in self-hanging. The strangulation marks around Epstein's neck were inconsistent with hanging from a bedsheet, as described in the report. In more than 50 years of experience, I have never seen a sign like this, Baden said. Epstein began cooperating with federal prosecutors shortly before his death, and his lawyers even filed for bail and proposed a confession agreement which officials said could lead to him revealing international figures involved in the trafficking ring. Epstein had previously failed in his attempts to take his own life. He was then placed on suicide watch. But strangely, he was removed from the watch just 6 days before his death. During that time, Epstein was not moved to a separate camera area as required, nor was he given a final independent mental health check. Guards slept, cameras broke, surveillance was removed, forensics turned up conflicting, and Epstein died before he could name someone. Those are 5 factors, each one of which could be considered a glitch. But when they all happen on the same night, they string together a picture that no one would dare call random. And that is why the public has never accepted the conclusion that Epstein committed suicide. The unusual coincidence has created fertile ground for countless conspiracy theories Epstein was murdered in prison to prevent him from revealing big names. Some groups even believe that Epstein faked his own death to be rescued and escape justice. FBI releases video effort to end suspicion. The FBI, under mounting pressure from MAGA groups, Congress, and the media, said the 11 a.m. video was released to end speculation, restore confidence, and confirm the record of events is accurate. The video is crystal clear, said Dan Bongino. No one went in or out. If you have any leads, let us know. The Justice Department also confirmed the FBI's response. There was no evidence that Epstein was being blackmailed or had a high-powered client list. The media reports of secret flights or VIPs visiting private islands were not credible enough to prosecute anyone. Public opinion and politics. The smoke flares up again. Instead of quelling the doubts, the release of the nearly 3-minute clip has reignited an underground earthquake that has never subsided. Old doubts, once considered speculation, are now fueled, spreading rapidly among observers, the press, and even the political corridors. Jeffrey Epstein's death was a major blow to public confidence in the federal justice system from the start. But when the video that was expected to be the key to unlocking the case emerged with traces of editing and a 2-minute 53-second gap that left no trace, the disbelief turned to public outrage. In Washington, especially within the Republican Party, the wave of suspicion is spreading faster than ever. The MAGA conservative wing, long skeptical of federal agencies, has not missed the opportunity. Representatives such as Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, and Marjorie Taylor Greene have spoken out strongly on the X platform Twitter, calling for an independent, non-governmental investigation into the FBI's role in the loss of the most important 3 minutes of the video. On TV channels like Newsmax, OAN, and Fox Nation talk shows repeatedly described this as an intentional incident, not a technical coincidence. According to an exclusive report from the Times FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, once a figure favored by conservatives, has considered resigning after deep disagreements within the FBI over how to handle the media crisis surrounding the video. Bongino was reportedly frustrated by the way the layers of information were redacted before being released, which could have unintentionally backfired and eroded confidence in the integrity of the agency, a Justice Department insider told The Times. The FBI stands firm, but public opinion has changed. After all the controversy after the 11-hour video, after the 2-minute 53-second loophole, and even traces of editing with professional video editing software, the FBI still hasn't changed its stance. Despite the pressure, the FBI continues to reaffirm its original conclusions. Epstein died by suicide. There was no blackmail client list. There was no internal cover-up, and no other individuals or organizations were directly involved in the death. Why did the camera cut out at the exact moment Epstein died and then coincidentally lose nearly 3 minutes of the most important data? Why did the video released as raw, unedited show traces of editing with Adobe Premiere Pro, with metadata clearly showing the file was saved before release? Why were important forensic details such as the neck injury and broken hyoid bone not mentioned in the official report? This is no longer a matter of a man dying in prison, but the question is justice being used to conceal power? Jeffrey Epstein is dead, but his shadow still looms over the world's most powerful halls. From the White House to Buckingham Palace to the VIP lounges of Wall Street, once innocent connections are now the focus of suspicion. Who had access to Epstein? Powerful names linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Among the most shocking names to appear in documents related to Epstein is none other than Bill Clinton, former President of the United States. According to the flight log of the private jet nicknamed Lolita Express, Clinton flew with Epstein at least 20 times between 2001 and 2003. Clinton's office later confirmed that he used the plane for charity trips within the framework of the Clinton Foundation, asserting that he had no knowledge of or involvement in any wrongdoing. However, the former U.S. president's association with a man who was later accused of being a crime boss still left the public confused. Donald Trump, Clinton's political rival and U.S. president, had a close social relationship with Epstein in the early 2000s. The two appeared together at lavish parties at Mar-a-Lago, a resort owned by Trump. In a 2002 interview with New York Magazine, Trump described Epstein as a very funny guy, and he especially liked young women. However, when the case broke out, Trump announced that he had long since severed ties and asserted that he has nothing to hide. The biggest name to get the most attention from royal circles is Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most high-profile victims, has accused him of being sexually assaulted when he was 17, in locations including London and a private island in the Caribbean. Despite repeated denials in 2022, Andrew agreed to an out-of-court civil settlement with Virginia reportedly worth more than $10 million, a move that raised more questions than it allayed. Following the incident, Andrew was stripped of many of his official roles in the British royal family. Outside of politics, Jeffrey Epstein had deep ties to the financial world, especially to billionaire investors and asset managers. One of the figures believed to be most closely tied financially to Epstein was Les Wexner, the former CEO of the fashion empire L Brands, owner of Victoria's Secret. According to investigations by the New York Times and WSJ in the late 1990s, Epstein became Wexner's personal financial advisor, controlling hundreds of millions of dollars of the billionaire's assets. Not only that, in 1998, Epstein was also transferred to a 7-story mansion at 9 East 71st Street, Manhattan, one of the largest and most expensive private residences in New York City at that time, a detail that raised speculation about the level of absolute trust between the two. Later, Wexner claimed that he was exploited by Epstein and had cut off relations since 2007, When Epstein's allegations exploded in 2007, and especially after his arrest in 2019, Wexner immediately cut off all contact and claimed to be completely unaware of Epstein's criminal acts. He felt deceived and betrayed after discovering that Epstein quietly transferred millions of dollars from family funds. Another case is Leon Black, founder of the investment giant Apollo Global Management. In 2021, the New York Times revealed that he paid more than $150 million to Epstein between 2012 and 2017 for personal tax advice after Epstein had been convicted. Although no criminal charges were filed, the incident forced Leon Black to resign as chairman of Apollo and step down from several prestigious boards. Also in Epstein's circle of longtime friends was Glenn Dubin, a prominent New York hedge fund manager. His wife, Eva Anderson Dubin, had a past relationship with Epstein. The Dubin family was mentioned in Virginia Giuffre's testimony, but they vehemently denied the allegations and were not prosecuted. Jeffrey Epstein once portrayed himself as a science philanthropist, funding many research programs at Harvard, MIT, and Princeton. As a result, many prominent scientists have come into contact with him, including Professor Lawrence Summers, former president of Harvard University, and former U.S. Secretary of the Treasury. Summers attended many events organized by Epstein and received funding for research projects, but insisted that he had never witnessed any wrongdoing. Even physicist Stephen Hawking appeared on an Epstein-sponsored scientific trip to his private island in 2006. However, this was an event attended by many other scientists, and there is no evidence that Hawking knew about or was involved in any illegal activities. The passenger list of Epstein's private plane included Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey and American comedian Chris Tucker. They flew with Epstein and Bill Clinton on a 2002 trip to Africa for the Clinton Foundation's charity. However, no allegations or evidence of wrongdoing have been made against them, and neither appears in the official investigation. Supermodel Naomi Campbell was also photographed at a charity event attended by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. However, she was never investigated, and the connection was purely social in a fashion context. Jeffrey Epstein's name has become the focus not only because of his own crimes, but also because of the powerful relationships that surrounded him, raising the painful question: how many people knew and how many chose to remain silent? Attorney General Pam Bondi releases Epstein files, but it leaves America disappointed. In March 2025, Attorney General Pam Bondi officially released the first of a series of documents in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, dubbed Epstein Files Phase 1. In a nationally televised press conference, Bondi declared with conviction, "This list will make you sick. The names on it are not strangers. They are people who have sat next to you in the seats of politics, on the screens of Hollywood, and on the seats of Wall Street." It didn't take long for the phrase Epstein client list to immediately top global searches. Social media was abuzz. Many people expected this to be the moment to solve the biggest mystery in the Epstein case: the list of people who had visited his private island, flown on the Lolita Express, and had been served by him. However, when the document was publicly posted on the Ministry of Justice's information portal, the public was immediately stunned. Not because it was too shocking, but because it was too empty. More than 100 pages of documents, mostly flight logs, have been leaked years ago. Many names are blacked out, abbreviated, or blurred beyond recognition. There are no client lists, what Bondi once referred to as the key to making the elite tremble. There are no new details, no financial evidence, no specific testimony. To put it mildly, the publication was simply a rehash of what was already known, wrapped in empty promises. Immediately after the document was released, MAGA groups that had been cheering Bondi on with all their might turned to criticize it. According to an article in the Daily Beast, the conservative community called it a media betrayal, a cheap political game, a pie in the sky. The hashtag #Epstein cover-up is trending again on X Twitter. Right-wing YouTubers and podcasters who are loyal to Trump also expressed frustration that the promise to deconstruct the system has become a repetitive, almost meaningless print. In response to the criticism, Pam Bondi responded in an exclusive interview, "I asked the FBI to hand over all the documents, but what they gave me was only the first part. The remaining boxes of files are still being held somewhere in the system. They promised to provide them. I have no right to force them." This statement further angered public opinion. Not only was the public disappointed, many members within the Republican Party also began to question Pam Bondi's true abilities and role. She made us all look like dreamers, an insider told Newsweek. We were hoping the document would topple the underworld. Instead, it just split the party further. Some hardline voices in the party even called for Bondi to resign and hand over the position of special investigator to someone without political ties. Epstein's name still haunts America, not because of what he did, but because of what he left unsaid. What do you think happened in those 2 minutes and 53 seconds that were cut off? Leave a comment below. I'll pin the best theories. If you want to continue your journey of discovery about celebrities and the world's elite, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. The next video will have a more interesting name.